Welcome to this VxFlex OS demonstration lab. The following demonstration will show how to deploy VxFlex OS 2.6 in a Hyper-V 2016 Hyper-Converged environment. We will focus on VxFlex installation and configuration procedures, and we will simulate a device failure and see how the system reacts with rebuilds and rebalances. For this demonstration, we will be using a mobile converged system which consists of 4 individual Intel NUCs, each having 32 gigs of RAM and dual SSDs, 1 gigabit Ethernet switch, 1 internal UPS, and 1 front panel connectivities for USB, HDMI, and Ethernet. First, let's prepare a CSV file that will contain basic configuration for our deployment. This file will be used by the VxFlex OS installer in the next steps. Next, we're going to install the VxFlex OS gateway on a Windows server to enable automatic deployment of VxFlex OS on our 3 Windows hosts. We will also need the VxFlex GUI to monitor and manage the system. Once those 2 softwares are installed, open a browser and connect to the local host. Enter credentials for the admin user when prompted. In this step, you will need to provide the installation MSI files needed for the installation on the Windows host. Click on Browse, open the Windows folder, select all the MSI files. Now click on Upload. At the bottom of the page, click Proceed to install. Now click on Browse to select the CSV file containing our deployment parameters. Choose the new password for the MDM and LIA components. As you can see here, the MDM is configured in a redundant cluster mode on 3 hosts, with 1 master, 1 slave, and 1 tiebreaker. The MDM is the manager portion of the VxFlex OS system. The SDS will be installed on all hosts contributing to storage devices to the VxFlex OS. The SDS manages the capacity of a single server and acts as a backend for data access. The SDC will also be installed on all hosts. The SDC is a device driver installed on each host that requires access to the VxFlex OS volume. Installation will only take a few minutes to complete. Now we need to identify the available disk device that will contribute to this backend storage. Here we have disk 1 on each host that we can use for this. In order to assign those disk devices to VxFlex OS, we need to run the prepare disk utility and specify the physical drive 1. This command needs to be executed directly on each host. This operation will format and prepare the drives for VxFlex OS. Next, we need to run the following commands to attach the disk devices to the SDS on each host. When done, open the VxFlex OS GUI and browse to the backend. We can see the 3 drives, 1 attached to each host. Now let's create 2 volumes. One will be used for the Windows cluster quorum, and the other will be used to store virtual machines. Let's go map those volumes to the 3 Windows hosts. On the first Windows host, we can see 2 new disks are available for use. Let's put them online, initialize, and format them. Now, for the other 2 hosts, we can simply put them online. The VxFlex OS configuration is now complete. Let's see how we will use those 2 volumes with our Hyper-V cluster. In the Failover Cluster Manager, select Add Disk to Cluster and choose the 2 available volumes. Next, we will configure the quorum disk. Select Configure a Disk Witness. Select Drive D. The quorum is now online. Now choose the second disk and click on Add to Cluster Shared Volume. In the Hyper-V manager of each node, specify a default folder to store virtual machines. Enter the path of the cluster storage volume. Back in the Failover Cluster Manager, we are ready to create new virtual machines that will be deployed on our VxFlex OS software-defined storage. Let's start that first VM and confirm we can do some live migrations. Here, the VM has migrated from node 3 to node 2 without any problems. Now let's shut down node 2 and see what happens. From the VxFlex OS GUI, we can see that the SDS2 is currently down and a rebuild process has started automatically. We can also see that our virtual machine is now running on node 3. Let's now power on node 2. From the Failover Cluster Manager, we can see that node 2 is joining back to the cluster. Finally, from the VxFlex OS GUI, we can see this triggers a rebalance process to spread back the data on all nodes. This completes this VxFlex OS demonstration lab. Thank you for watching.